video about this illegal alien who was driving semi, breaking all kinds of rules, did not comprehend English, doesn't comprehend rules of the road, doesn't understand street signs. I have a major problem with that. How does the liberals in Washington State and California, if you vote for a Democrat, you're a liberal. How do you justify this illegal alien and his brother, who both entered our country illegally? They're not undocumented, as you say. They're illegals. They came here illegally, just like if you went into a store after it was closed. You're not undocumented in the store, you're illegal. You're breaking all kinds of laws, just like these two did. How does Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Pete, the former transportation secretary, how dare he? How dare he and his liberal supporters issue work visas to illegals? The gentleman that I won't even call him a gentleman, I'll call him a weasel. The weasel that was driving that semi truck that entered our country illegally. After he killed them, he was taken to a Florida hotel and they were both told, do not leave the state of Florida until after the we don't have to obey Florida DOT when we're told not to leave our hotel until after the investigation's over. Boarded a flight and went to Stockton, California. When they arrived, they went and drained their bank accounts. They made arrangements to fly to India from LAX at 5 p.m. to flee the United States after murdering 3 innocent American citizens. These 2 weasels were trying to flee our country. So let's just rack up everything they did in 7 years' time since they illegally entered our country. They falsified records. They paid a bribe to Washington State to get a CDL. And then when it came time for renew, they went to the state of California, paid another bribe, and falsified some more records. While they were driving, the gentleman that was actually driving the semi, I won't even call him a gentleman, he's a weasel, who should be put to death. The death penalty is definitely on the table in the state of Florida, and this case, he deserves it. Before this accident, shortly after he started driving truck, he caused the unaliving of 2 others. So that's 2 Americans killed by this weasel of a guy. Then he destroys a bridge because he hit it driving semi. I don't understand how you hit a bridge. In Arkansas, causing millions of dollars of damage that he didn't pay for. Guess what, Americans? We paid for that out of our taxes. So we're covering this legal alien that's already more than once robbed two people of their lives at this point. Then a year ago, this past July, he was stopped in New Mexico for a DOT inspection. He didn't understand New Mexico DOT officers' questioning, couldn't have a reasonable conversation with him because he doesn't understand English. Yet DOT New Mexico allowed him to drive away in the truck with the load. Then, after this accident, this weasel and his brother leaned on the guardrail in the center of the Florida Turnpike while they removed the two dead bodies at that point and the one that was clinging to life that later died at the hospital. With no remorse on their face, no concern for the victims, they were taken to a Florida hotel by Florida DOT. I don't understand why they weren't placed in custody immediately and told, do not leave the state of Florida until our investigation is over. And it's still not over, and it's been a week. But guess what these two weasels did? They jumped on a plane and went to Stockton, California, and they drained their bank accounts. They packed their bags because they had reservations to fly to India at 5 p.m. They were trying to flee the country after the gentleman that was, or the weasel that was driving, didn't just cause one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 Americans lost their lives to this illegal alien. Hello, artists. Welcome to chat. I appreciate that. Hey, if you're in chat, please hit that like and subscribe if you would. It would help my channel. And I like when my chat interacts with me. I read all my comments. And I would like to know your point of view. Do you think this gentleman, or this weasel, and his brother both deserve the death penalty? These weasels cause 5 American souls to no longer walk this earth. Should those that allowed him to get a work visa and obtain a CDL illegally, just like his illegal crossing of the Mexican border, should they face the death penalty? Florida does have the death penalty. Folks, I'm a retired semi-truck driver. I have over 1 million miles under my belt, meaning I've driven 1 million miles here in the United States. And illegal aliens should not ever, 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 ever be allowed in a truck. But unfortunately, we have thousands of them, folks. Thousands of them from India. Have you ever seen how they drive in India? They have no sense of rules of the road. They have no respect for the other vehicles on the road. And I'm going to say this as a professional truck driver, OTR, meaning over the road. Most Americans have no comprehension of how to interact with that semi-truck on the road. They think, oh, they're slow. They don't even go our speed limit. We can't. Truck drivers can't go 75 or higher, depending on the state you're in. Trucks in the United States are federally mandated to go 65 miles an hour. How many times have you seen a vehicle on the highway behind a truck? The driver's all flustered because he wants that exit up about a half mile, but he doesn't want to wait for that truck to clear the exit. So he suddenly changes lanes, most of the time without using his blinker or indicator if you're in the UK. Accelerate above the speed limit for a car, pass the truck, and then immediately, as soon as he clears the bumper, gets back over. Guys, that driver has made 3 errors passing that truck that way. First of all, he probably did not use his turn signal to get in the left lane. He sped past the truck, and then as soon as he clears the bumper, he comes back over. Guys, if that truck driver can't see your trunk, guess what? He can't see you. So not only have you put your life at risk, but everyone in your vehicle. Have that be your wife, your son, your daughter, your mother, your father, your cousin, brother, sister. I don't care who it is. You've put their lives at risk. And that happened to me when I drove truck. I had a guy in a BMW do that to me. Well, he needed gas, so he was going to the gas station. Well, that gas station happened to be the same place that I was going to get fuel for my truck. He was in line in front of me, and the guy that was behind my truck when this happened to be a unmarked police car who also stopped at the gas station and followed the gentleman into the line. Well, the police officer was standing between me and the guy that had cut me off in the BMW. And the police officer said, "Sir, are you driving that BMW?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I need to speak to you as soon as we get out of line." He goes, "What's this concerning? I'm an attorney." The police officer said, "Well, you broke several traffic laws and you put your entire family at risk." Well, that truck driver was driving too slow. And at that point, the police officer said no, he was driving his posted speed limit. So, next time you pass a semi, just remember this. That semi is 80,000 pounds. Yes, you did hear me say that right. 80,000 pounds. And you got to remember, every 2,000 pounds is a ton. So you're looking at 4 tons of freight. When a semi truck needs to stop, most Americans on American highways have no clue how far it requires, distance-wise, for that truck driver to bring that 80,000 pound truck to a complete stop. It's a lot further than most think or can comprehend. That truck driver needs 2 American football fields, end zone to end zone, the entire field from the first line to the very last line, or more, to bring their trucks to a stop. And that's with them standing on the brakes. Save your family, save an accident from happening, give them their space, respect them, and they'll respect you. Because most of the American motorized public does not respect the truck drivers. You might be on vacation, but that truck driver, he's hard at work and he doesn't get to go home at night. Many truck drivers in our nation, folks, believe it or not, might only go home once every 2, 3, 4, or more weeks. Meaning they're out living in that truck, bringing us all the things we need in our lives. And they bring everything you own, everything you have, everything you buy at the grocery store, the gasoline that goes in your car, the oil that goes in your car. They bring everything. It's the single most unappreciated job, career in our country. And truck drivers have to obey all traffic laws. They have laws from federal DOT they must adhere to. They have to have 10 hours of rest every day. They can only drive 65 miles an hour legally. They must go in open weigh scales when they're open. They must adhere to frequent inspections of their truck and their logbook and their person. How many of you work in a career that you can go home at night? That truck driver doesn't go home at night. Then we have these illegal aliens, most of them from India. And yes, I am not racist in any way, but many of them are Sikh and they don't believe in learning English. They don't want to. Yet they jump in a truck. They cannot understand English. They do not comprehend our road signs, because India, they don't use road signs. Pull up a video of Indians driving in India, not American Indians, the guys that come over from India. In India, they don't have road signs, they don't have traffic lights. To watch them drive is pure chaos. It's like starving rats for 6 months and then dropping a small piece of cheese in the center. Watch how they all tried to get to it. They will kill each other to get to it. Yet this guy down in Florida and his brother, who is his co-driver, in the 7 years that they've been here illegally, have unalived 5 American souls driving truck. Guys, they've committed 5 murders because they were driving illegally. And every state and every politician involved in that state that went along with these guys getting their CDLs should be tried for murder 1. And not only tried, but convicted, and they should be given the death penalty. How many Americans have to die because an illegal alien decided to cheat our system and get in a semi where they don't belong federally? Federally, that's supposed to be American citizens and those that are here legally, right only. if you don't agree with the death penalty, what is the proper treatment of these two illegals? And they're not undocumented. That's like saying you can go into a store, rob it, but you're not a robber, and you were there after hours, but you were there illegally. You can be there. It's not okay, folks. How many more Americans have to die at the hands of illegal aliens before our country wakes up? I believe the way that the good book says, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. These guys caused the two that unalived the three in Florida less than 5 years ago, cost two other American lives. How many people have to die? Who should be made the example? We don't allow illegal aliens. Who should be made the example? You kill an American while you're breaking the law, you're going to be punished. Why do these guys get to try to flee to India, their home country, after they've been told by officials here in the United States, do not leave the state of Florida? But yet they flew to California thinking they were going to get away with it. Thank God for federal marshals. And I'm going to trigger a lot of people. As a former truck driver, OTR, meaning over the road, I've been in every state in the lower 48 but three. We need ICE and other police agencies at every weigh scale, every rest area, and every truck stop 24/7. Every weigh scale should be open. No trucks should be allowed to bypass the scale. And if you try running the scale, guess what? We have ICE officers patrolling that area so we know if you're running them. And I'm a former truck driver, guys, and I'm saying this. We cannot afford one more American life to be lost. Alone, 5 by 2 illegal brothers from India that obtained their CDLs illegally. And not only that, but they owned the company that they were driving for. And all they did was, after they had so many violations, they would change the name of the company and use the same trucks, the same trailers. They would just do a bill of sale, selling it to the new company for a penny. That way they could keep running. These guys have destroyed 5 American families because of their greed, their dishonesty. Every illegal alien is dishonest. And I am coming from being a truck driver. And I'm going to stay on this subject until the trial. And hats off to Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, sending his lieutenant governor to go bring back these 2 illegals from California back to Florida. But guess what this time, guys? They're not allowed in a hotel room. They're in a jailhouse. And I do believe they have like a $2.5 million bail on each of their heads. But this time, I bet you they don't leave the state of Florida. And if they don't get the death penalty, they certainly are going to get 3 life terms of murder each. And after those terms are over, if they get paroled, they should be deported immediately and told, if you ever come back, you're going back to prison for the rest of your life. You're not going to walk out. And I'm not really that political, guys, but Washington State is a very left-leaning state, and so is California. These are the 2 states that issued CDLs to these 2 illegal aliens. And I'm sure there's tons more. I can tell you, as a former truck driver, there are tons of illegals driving truck. But all the officials in every state they obtained a CDL license in should be prosecuted for murder 1. That'd be including the governors of Florida, or the governors of Washington State, California, New Mexico, who all had a chance to yank these 2 weasels from India out of that truck. They all should be charged with murder 1. Yes, even good old Gavin Newsom, who thinks he's going to be the next president of the United States. Guys, we cannot take the liberal stand. Illegal aliens should be called undocumented. No, they're illegal because they broke the law. They should not be in a semi-truck. These 2 yahoos were using emergency vehicle turnaround only to turn a semi-truck around. They were performing a U-turn, blocking all 5 northbound lanes of the Florida Turnpike near Fort Pierce, Florida. As a truck driver, I can tell you the very first thing I was taught in trucking school, never, ever, ever attempt to turn a semi around in a U-turn situation on the road. Now that's different if you're at a shipper or a receiver, but generally they have a lot for you to use and nothing's in that lot. You go turn around and you go to your door. As a truck driver, I will tell you that have never been in a truck. Truck drivers have to remember some... Get down! Sorry about that. My dog was misbehaving. You better lay down. Go lay down. Sorry about that. My dog was doing something she should not have done. Why I watched her. Lay down, Dakota. Sorry about that. Going back, the companies that supply a lot for you to do U-turns in trucks, it's a dirt lot normally, and nothing's in it. They give you as much room as possible. And when you drive truck, the rule is you never turn that truck unless you're prepared to use all the room necessary to make the maneuver. And truck drivers also use the word goal. Goal stands for get out and look. For you that don't know, a truck is usually about 95 foot with one of the normal sized trailers. You cannot see all the way around that truck unless you get out and look. So they have to remember the word goal, which stands for get out and look. Just be careful when you're around trucks. Remember that truck driver is watching traffic, driving, remembering the laws that he has to abide by as well. And there are a lot of laws truck drivers have to remember, such as bridge law, spring thaw law, which means not everywhere you travel with your semi can you just go down any road because you might come across the bridge that during the spring you're not allowed to cross. Folks, we don't need illegal aliens in these trucks. I can tell you this, if I had my chance to get back in a truck, I wouldn't do it right now. But if they could yank every illegal alien off our streets, I'd go back in a heartbeat. Not only that, but we get Michigan, and here we get the Canada that crossed the border going to Chicago with a load. And technically, by law, they're not supposed to be able to book a load back across the border. But many of them do. And usually they accept loads that might have a stop or two in the United States before they get to the border. Those are illegal. They're illegal as they're not supposed to happen. Same with the Mexicanos from Mexico. They bring a load over. They're supposed to drop it in the closest yard and go back across, and an American driver goes to pick it up. The company I worked for did not allow us to cross into Mexico. We could drop our loads. Many of them in, I can't remember the name of the town, but it's right at the international bridge going into Mexico. We would drop in our company yard. A Mexican driver would meet us there, hook up, and take that trailer into Mexico. They would bring a trailer back to us from Mexico. That is the only time under federal law a foreign driver is supposed to take a load. Now in Canada, it's a little bit different. I have traveled to Mississauga, Canada, which, if you don't know, is a suburb of Toronto. I picked up at Craft Food Mississauga, Canada, Ontario, Canada, to Chicago, Illinois. Those were my favorite loads, actually. The reason being is if you're going to Chicago from Mississauga, which is part of Toronto, you have to go through Michigan. Well, I live in Michigan. That's my home state. So I would manage to get to Michigan before I had to shut down. And many of the truck stops aren't too far away from home, so I'd just call one of my friends or relatives, hey, I'm here, come get me. I'd go home for a couple hours, go see family. Then I'd go back to the truck, sleep, and then I'd drive to Chicago. Many times, if I had craft load, I would go in, they would unload me, load me with product going to Fort Worth, Texas, which, if you don't know, there's another Craft Foods in Fort Worth. And I was based out of Mesquite, Texas. So if I was being brought into the Home Depot of the transportation company I work for, they often sent me to Mississauga, Chicago, Fort Worth into Mesquite, which is a suburb of Dallas, which is maybe 35 miles from Fort Worth. I can't stress this enough, guys. Be careful around semis. Please, 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 please be careful around semis. It's not only your life, it's not only your family's lives, but it's the motoring public of the United States. It's that truck driver's life. It's basically comes down to his family's lives too, because if a semi truck driver dies on the road because his family suffers at home because he's no longer there. He doesn't get to go home and see his kids. Just like these 3 Americans that this illegal killed. They don't get to go see their relatives anymore. They don't get to go home and enjoy a nice meal. They don't get to go see their friends. They don't get to enjoy the next sunrise, the next sunset, the next fresh breath air. Why? All because an illegal alien decided to get a CDL and get into a truck. Accountability, folks. The liberal states and their officials all should be charged with these. And I'm sorry, they should lose their DOT funding if it's proven that they issued an illegal alien a CDL. Thank God for Governor Ron DeSantis, who sent his newly elected lieutenant governor to extradite these 2 illegal weasels from California. Guess what? Our country cannot put up with liberals handing out licenses, even to drive car, to illegal aliens. And unfortunately, the state that I live in, we have a liberal governor that is doing just that. She is allowing illegal aliens to obtain driver's licenses. Putting your family at risk and my family. Putting me at risk as a retired OTR. The OTR stands for over the road. Yes, I am a former truck driver, folks. We can't afford this. And if you've listened to me babble and you tune into this channel or watch it on repeat, folks, I yesterday went to a classic car cruise rally. They started in Coldwater, Michigan, and they're going all the way to Escanaba, Michigan. They only drive maybe 100.5 miles a day, and they pull over and they have a big street party in every town that they stay the night in. Well, it takes them a full week to go from Coldwater, Michigan to Escanaba. Escanaba is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, almost to Wisconsin, folks. Please watch that video, especially if you like American muscle cars. Pretty neat. I talked to more than one of the guys that had his classic car there. There was one that his classic car had the original window sticker. The Sticker read $2,995.55. 3 weeks later, he didn't buy the car then. 3 weeks later, he got the call from the dealership, hey, why don't you come see us? Because he offered them $2,700 for that car. It took them 3 weeks before they couldn't sell that car, before they called him to come get it and bring them the $2,700. And the thing is, this guy had to take out, or did not take out a loan. There was another guy that took out a loan for a car in the same price range through the Bank and Trust of Detroit, Michigan. It was kind of cool. But I want to thank everyone for listening to me babble this morning. Y'all have a blessed day, and I'll probably do another live this afternoon. Thank you. God bless. Hit that like button and subscribe on your way out. I'd much appreciate it. Y'all have a blessed day.